So we are now recording this meeting. If you do not want to be seen or heard, you are more than welcome to leave or to turn off your microphone and your video feed. Your presence will still be recorded. Thank you.
He just left. It's a plane. About me.
You just turn off the
Who is that?
video.
Oh, okay. Let's start.
Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. Teacher.
Can we turn it down?
Teacher. Photos. Thus gone. Fully and perfectly awakened Buddha. Endowed with knowledge and good conduct. Gone to bliss. Knower of the world. Helmsman of ordinary beings to be tamed. Supreme One. Teacher of all gods and men. Buddha. Foe destroyer. Glorious victorious one. Shakyamuni. To you I pay homage, make offerings, and go for refuge. Teacher. Foe destroyer. Thus gone. Fully and perfectly awakened Buddha. Endowed with knowledge and good conduct. Gone to bliss. Knower of the world. Helmsman of ordinary beings to be tamed. Supreme One. Teacher of all gods and men. Buddha. Foe destroyer. Glorious victorious one. Shakyamuni. To you I pay homage, make offerings, and go for refuge. Teacher. Foe destroyer. Thus gone. Fully and perfectly awakened Buddha. Endowed with knowledge and good conduct. Gone to bliss. Knower of the world. Helmsman of ordinary beings to be tamed. Supreme One. Teacher of all gods and men. Buddha. Foe destroyer. Glorious victorious one. Shakyamuni. To you I pay homage, make offerings, and go for refuge. When you, chief of humans, were born, you took 7 steps on this great earth, and you said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise at that time, I prostrate. Completely pure body, supremely fine form, ocean of wisdom like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds. Supreme protector, to you I prostrate. Endowed with the supreme marks, a face like the stainless moon, a color like gold, to you I pay homage. The 3 worlds are not like you who is free from dust. Matchless one, endowed with knowledge, to you I prostrate. Protector, endowed with great compassion, omniscient teacher, feel devotion like merits and good qualities, to the thus gone I prostrate. Through purity, free from attachment, through virtue, releases from the evil gone realms, unique, supreme, ultimate meaning. To the Dharma that brings peace I prostrate. From freedom, teaching the path, well abiding in the pure trainings, holy field endowed with good qualities. To the Sangha also I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha. Homage to the Dharma refuge. Homage to the great Sangha. To all 3 ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms' atoms in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous action. Accumulate virtue and goodness. Subdue your own mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. Like a star, a mirage, a lamp, illusions, drops of dew, bubbles, dreams, lightning, and clouds. Look at all conditioned phenomena as such. Due to this merit, having attained the state of the all-seeing and thereby subduing the enemy of faults, may I liberate migrators from the ocean of existence, stirred by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the positive potential I create by listening to the Dharma, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the joyful happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from holding some close and others distant. Respectfully I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I confess all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time and rejoice in the virtuous actions of all ordinary and noble beings. Please, Buddha, remain as our guide and turn the wheel of Dharma until samsara ends. Through the merit created by myself and others, may the two bodhicittas ripen, and may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. This offering I make of a precious jeweled mandala, together with other pure offerings and wealth and the virtues we have collected throughout the 3 times with our body, speech, and mind. O my masters, my yidams, and the 3 precious jewels, I offer all to you with unwavering faith. Accepting these out of your boundless compassion, please send forth waves of your blessings. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Miratiyami. The Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagavan was dwelling on mass of Vulture's Mountain on Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokeshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokeshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokeshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on and up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on and up to and including no aging and death and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the 3 times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment and reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as the truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Dayate gate gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisoha. We'll do that about 20 times silently. Dayate gate gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokeshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that. It is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharidavaputra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya, Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. This completes beginning prayers.
If people can't hear, but make some kind of gesture up or something, okay? Yeah, all right, good. It's okay, yeah, as long as people can hear me, good. I'm glad to see some familiar faces. It does help for me to have a screen to look at, so I'd like to thank Connor for putting that together. It's the case, almost everyone here is doing some form of meditation. So I wanted to talk about meditation today and how to teach meditation. So if we're meditating and we're interacting with people or even our pets, they're going to say, oh, what do you do? So I've always wanted people to be able to give some accurate information, accurate guidance, no matter what. So the talk today will be talking about from both the sacred and the secular level, not just from lineage Dharma, but also just from sanity level, secular sanity level. Many times when people come to us or we come to things, we actually need someone to talk to first. Therapy is generally, for a lot of times, a better way to start than immediately telling someone how to meditate. Because in my experience, many times we've come to want to have some kind of resolution through meditation, but because we've had a lot of trauma. So, in my case, my own teacher suggested, oh, you need to go talk to somebody. So when I met Geshe Gyatso, I'd already been exposed to a lot of Dharma, but I wasn't dealing with a lot of the trauma in my life, a lot of the family issues and what I wanted to do. And that was an important turning point. And then later, as I got more into it, Dharma and therapy, I said to Geshe Gyatso, I said, oh, I want to be a monk now. And he was very practical. He said, well, you're an idiot. You're married with children, so that's out. And he suggested I go to grad school and be a therapist, because he said most people need therapy first. And I was very resistant to the idea because I generally had a negative view of therapy. But that was a good idea, because lots of times before someone starts the technique of meditation, they need to talk things through and feel safe and feel like they can trust. So I'm very happy that there are a couple of therapists that I work with, Colleen and Dana, who are meditators and good listeners and good therapists. I really enjoy, most of the time, I enjoy talking with them, and I wouldn't change that. So even even after I retire, I'll probably still want to do my CEU practice and be a therapist, maybe up in Washington or something like that. Because when people come to therapy, they don't just come as Buddhist practitioners, they just come with anything, right? They're not coming because all the time, sometimes, but not all the time. So that's our situation as meditators, is our friends and people are going to approach us and they're not coming necessarily as believing in Buddhism or wanting to be Buddhist or anything. They just want to have some happiness and freedom and resolution of conflict, right? So that's why I've asked many people to really get to learn, to know how to do the Shamta practice, which is a common practice among all the Dharma schools. And it's very different than the usual kinds of meditation you'll find on the internet. It is appropriate but rare sometimes that we meet people and immediately we know they're suitable to hear Mahamudra or Dzogchen approaches. But even when we mention something from that style, we still have to stabilize ourselves, and we're still going to have many obstacles. So we still have to do a lot of shamatha practice nonetheless, even though we might be doing it from the Dzogchen point of view. There's a wonderful quote from Trungpa Rinpoche, one of the senior Karmakagyu lamas, that says, of course, when you get introduced to the nature of mind by a genuine teacher, then we're getting adjusted here. Is that better? Better? Yeah? Okay. Connor's adjusting my... Okay. Is that better for people? I hope so. So, Trungpa Rinpoche said, of course, we will have an opening experience, but then we'll make the mistake of trying to repeat that, which means we haven't totally understood it. So we haven't stabilized the nature of mind yet. So it's back to some basic meditation. The Shamta practice can be taught to anybody, but I just want it to be professional so that we don't have to refer people to just an application. Another aspect that we can share with others is telling them where to get reliable information. So many people are surfing the internet now and going to teachings. And I would like to put together a list of some reliable study programs and teachings that people don't want to just listen to me or listen to ourselves and go. And maybe Dirk, you can help me put that together. That would be most helpful. Can you hear me, Dirk? Like, no, I can't. So can you unmute?
I'm sorry, Lama La. I was distracted with the other part. My audio is not very good, but what would you like me to help you put together?
To put together what I consider to be useful websites from different teachers or centers that have either useful audio courses or useful translations like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You can help me in that.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
So when I know one of my favorites is Lasawa House that I enjoy, but there are many others. So at least we can give people to useful information, and it is okay to guide them to the programs that Lions will, of course. But I want to emphasize that when people first come to ask us for help, not just meditation training, we first have to listen to them and find out a little bit of their history and respond with compassion, empathy, and practicality. And meditation may be proper, but also actually talking to a respected therapist, or in some cases, one of our chaplains here would be the best. As if meditation is, even shamatha is, performed correctly, it brings up more stuff, wouldn't you say? So the way meditation is outlined in books that I like Calming the Mind, or outlined in the long text like Abhisamaya Lankara and so forth, it always makes it look like this happens and this happens and this happens, and you have to adjust little things here and there, but otherwise it's going great, right? Don't they present like that? It's kind of perfectionistic in a way. Why do they do that? Because there's no way to individualize everybody's program. There's no way to, so it's the most general sense, and it's going to be from, in a way, as the top of the mountain rather than the bottom. One reason Trungpa Rinpoche's works are still so widely read is because he talks about meditation starting at the beginning and the process of it. But the traditional way is to give the perfect, ideal top of the mountain view, knowing that people actually won't be able to attain that, or you actually rarely can start there. Does that make sense? So in our tradition, and maybe even any genuine tradition, you have to start forming some kind of relationship and talk to people first, because then you can tailor-made things, so to speak. You find out what their particular strengths and weaknesses are. In our tradition too, and therapy also, you have to start traditionally from a value base, right? You have to start from an ethical base. You have to start from okay, we're here to benefit others and not hurt them. We're here to not make things more of a nuisance. A Hinayana approach is, at least don't make it worse. Self-liberation doesn't mean narcissistically just looking out for yourself. It means I'm willing not to be a nuisance and cause myself or others harm. That's 95% of the path, right? So when meeting with people who are just even asking us casually, we have to say the first thing to establish if you want to help others and develop yourself is to establish a good motivation, and to ask people why they want to meditate, right? Do you want to just become powerful and smart and good looking? That's okay, but then you can say for what end, right? So we do point that out first, that we want to create an atmosphere of trust, but also an atmosphere with some boundaries. I don't know, I'm just starting meditation, so this is all I can share. But I'm very fond of mentioning the story of Shariputra, which I'll mention again, because Shariputra was a Brahmin yogin who heard about Siddhartha and was curious about this teacher that was gaining followers, because Shariputra had his own sangha. But it would be awkward for him to show up at another teacher's talk, particularly uninvited. It's even awkward when you are invited. So sometimes, like a little aside, I don't if I want to visit other teachers in the Bay Area, I don't put on my robes because I just want to be in the background. Because if they see me, then they'll make me sit up front, or from the very front row, or even worse than my friend Anam Thupten Rinpoche from Point Richmond. Do some people know of him? Dharma Foundation. So last time I was there, was a few years ago. He says, "Oh, Lama, just sit up." He made me sit next to him, and then you can't move or scratch or anything. You just have to sit there and pay attention. Like that. So that's why, like, if you're a relative of a great teacher, Tinley Norbu Rinpoche, when his father was teaching, had to sit there very quietly, just kind of one down from his father. Had to look very, kind of like, and sometimes translate, of course, for his father. But then there's a very interesting documentary, the son of Namkhai Norbu Rinpoche, who I was studied with, his son studying with him. So that's hard, right? So we want to have some kind of ethical relationship that involves boundaries. And here's what I can tell you. And that was the case with Shariputra, where the boundary was he decided he couldn't even, go to the talk, but he kind of stayed outside. And when people were filing out, just randomly asked one of the participants, what did Siddhartha say? And what did the Buddha say? And the person said, just like we could say, we're that person that we're listening. We could say, I don't know, all he said was things that appear, disappear. And Shariputra had stream entering right at that moment, right? It was a pith instruction. So, of course, Shariputra was very well developed, so he could take it in. But the interesting part, of course, we didn't hear more about the person that gave that teaching, right? I don't think so. I'm not sure. That would be a case for research. But we could be that person. We could be that person that says something that we could even say, I don't know if it's perfectly true, or this is what I think, but this is what I'm doing. And that could be a turning word. That could be a pith instruction for someone else, right? Just giving someone some honest, good dharma. You don't have to have attained that yourself. So we don't want to be perfectionistic. We don't want to just say, well, I haven't attained it, so I can't say, just be compassionate or nice. We should say that anyway, right? So it's traditional, as some of you have attended other teachers, for sometimes teachers to say, I'm really just a babbling old fool, I don't know anything, but here's what I've heard, right? So Yudhya Rinpoche used to say that a lot. And last time Kenshin Rinpoche was here to do Vajrasattva initiation, he said, well, I can't claim any attainments at all, but I'm just trying to genuinely pass on what I've learned, so that's very profound, right? But you don't have to say it quite that much, but you can say, this is just what I'm working on myself, right? So, let me pause here and take a few questions and then have some more to present. Or comments.
Lama, it's Roberta. I have a question.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi.
So at the beginning of your talk, you discussed that sometimes we come to meditation and we kind of have many issues that we need to address even before we get to it. So sometimes I'm wondering, where does our wisdom come to? Because sometimes we get puffed up ourselves and can't see where we err, but feel like we've, I don't know, I don't want to say attain anything, but are we've been doing meditation for a while or something. And so then we start advising people, but where's the wisdom to know the difference between just spouting things and really understanding when someone really needs other help? Because sometimes I think those things can be very confused.
Yes, of course. And that's one thing I'm going to talk about at 1:30. But actually, we have to say something. We have to sometimes say something. So we can preface it as, like I said, like, I'm not quite sure, or here's what I think might be helpful, or, like, how, what's been your experience with this or that, right? So it can be tentative and exploratory, right? Although sometimes we do need to give direct advice. Generally, one difference I make between a secular and sacred approach with Dharma is, like, in America, I would say it's very secular when you see the Dharma as a do-it-yourself thing, or a teacher as kind of a consultant, right? And you might do it and you might not. Generally, sacred Dharma in Asia, as others know, and Mike Hatfield knows, hi Mike, that the teacher's just going to say, do this. There's no discussion. It's just straight advice. But it's not really advice, it's a command, right?
Yeah.
But so at this point, we shouldn't necessarily be making commands or demands, but sometimes, as far as some of the precepts go, we really can be pretty strong. Like, if someone's, drinking and drugging, we can go, do you think there are going to be positive consequences from that? Or do you think that will actually help your meditation? So we can challenge a little bit, right? We can point to cause and effect. So that's one way that the Buddha dialogued a lot. We could just say, don't drink or drug, or we can say something condemning, like, obviously, you're a drinker and drugger, so that's why your life is messed up and you should meditate. That's probably not the most therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
But we can say, just as the Buddha said, and Socrates would say, like, have you achieved the freedom and liberation and happiness that you sought for through these methods, And so you start a dialogue that way.
Mm-hmm.
The things as therapists that actually don't, we can't have that much discussion about, like, child abuse and elder abuse and domestic violence and things like that, So, and suicidality and things like that. So I'm not shy about telling people, like, if someone's cutting on themselves, self-harm, I try to be empathetic, and I try to be, and at the same time, I'll say, it's not that good an idea. Like that. So we can approach it from different levels, right? But generally in Dharma, we're going to try to dialogue with people and ask if their behavior is leading them to happiness and freedom and connection with others, like that. Then if they're very interested too, we can approach them from a sense of identity, like, who's doing this? Who do you think you are, right? It's a little more internal. And then finally we can say, let's look at the nature of awareness, the nature of mind itself, like that. But generally, if someone's having trouble with their kids, particularly now at home, you probably wouldn't say, well, have you examined the nature of pristine awareness? But but sometimes that's appropriate, actually. Yeah, long answer.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you for your question. La la la.
Hi, Lama. It's Andrew.
Hi.
Hi, I know you and I have had several conversations about how to help people start meditation. Um, I'm wondering, it seems like people who are starting meditation, they have that misconception that because they can't clear their mind of thoughts, that they're really bad at it, and um, that that it's not for them because they can't sit and clear their mind. That they're aware of that racing mind, and I think especially now with the pandemic, there's so much conventional world material to agitate the mind. Um, so I was just wondering what your thoughts were, because that's maybe one of the biggest obstacles to getting people to continue with a meditation practice is I can't turn my mind off. It's like torture. So I was wondering if you had any thoughts about that.
Yeah, good question. So, of course, we're going to say, please don't turn your mind off, for starters, but probably it feels out of control, right? So the only solution they see is like turning the mind off. So, we can start there by generally a shamatha approach, of course, is just slowing down. So that can be sometimes kind of real, like breathe slower, walk slower, do things slower, talk slower. It's going to slow the mind down because everything else is slow. Contemporary, teaching sometimes on the internet or, just watching your thoughts, and that can be helpful, like you're off stage and into the audience, so to speak, but that doesn't necessarily slow things down or help. It can help, but you want to emphasize slow, very practical, so I appreciate that, you're blending. We have to blend in this culture, psychology. I'm a little distracted here, so hold on a second. Yeah, is there something wrong or? Okay. Let's take a little break for a second, and take another, little break, little meditation break, can we? For 5 minutes. No, is that too weird? I can do 5 minutes. That's about it. So I'm just gonna take a short break. When sharing our practice with others, if you have time, take some breaks. Don't just talk at people, right? Actually say, let's sit here for a minute, and then ask people, what was that like? What happened? So probably the therapists in the Sangha, you know, like Andrew and you know, Lane and you know, they're used to saying that, right? They're used to pausing. I know James Meyer from Lionheart. I don't know if it's photos on. I'm sure he says things and then he pauses for a moment, right? And we see what the impact is. I'm quite sure Dana does that too. You know, like say something and then, you know. So actually, we're modeling like slowing down, right? You can't always give a fast meditation instruction and then tell people to slow down. So that's, I got frozen now, looks like there, okay, I'm back. So we try when we're sharing to at least model the behavior, correct? So an important thing that we want to model is in our tantric tradition is not so much sitting rigidly still, but kind of holding your seat. A little different, right? So people that have attended inter-sangha functions sometimes notice that the Tibetan lamas or students, they're more like this. And then the Theravada monks are really like, you know, and then the Zens are more, you know, so, and we're kind of like, isn't that true? And that is true. Yeah, so, you know, maybe, maybe they're not good meditators, but joke, but the idea is that actually we're present and we're holding our seat. We're really grounded, but we're recognizing that stillness and movement are intertwined, right? So in meditation practice, we ask people to sit in line with gravity, and we ask people to notice that when they're sitting in a certain way, their breath, or in an inner level, their winds, channels, and drops and chakras are opening. But we're not asking people to sit like too rigid, right? Because people sometimes get, they sit really, I can't, you know, as Andrew was saying, I'm kind of restless. And we go, yeah, but we can be restless and, you know, be staying on the ground at the same time. So we don't have to fight our restlessness like that. I have a lot of pain in my legs and then back pain too. So sometimes people say, why are you moving in your chair so much? And I go, well, it's just pain. And that's okay, we should be honest. You know, we don't have to be Dharma martyrs, right? So even the Buddha, a number of times said, I don't want to give the talk tonight, today. Shariputra, Mahamoggallana, Mahakasyapa, could you give the talk? My back's bad. So let's take another question.
I have a question.
Okay.
This is Elizabeth. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi. So I get questions pretty often from people who are brand new to meditating. And some of the advice that I give to people is don't expect to empty your mind and not have thoughts. And you may only be able to sit for 5 minutes the first time, if you can get to 5 minutes even. Is
Yeah.
there anything else that you would recommend saying to people who are brand new, who maybe don't have experience, and especially with all of the apps that are out there like Calm and Headspace, and that have a different approach to meditation? What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's new?
Well, to go back to kind of ethical thing, when I say ethical thing, I don't mean just precepts, but generating some maitri, generating like love and acceptance toward our experience. So sometimes we just say, being your own BFF. So that's people get very judgmental or angry about their experience a lot. So we do have to like talk about that, rejecting, and perfectionist attitudes abound. So we emphasize that it's a process like that. But generating some, loving kindness, doing, I would talk about Tonglen, like Marie and I have talked a lot about Tonglen, this kind of soft and hard Tonglen, right? I would start with kind of the soft Tonglen like that. So we developed some self-compassion. That's kind of an important thing in therapy now, like Dr. Kristen Neff's, self-compassion course and things like that. I don't know if Colleen's still listening. I think she did that course perhaps. So in some ways we have to mention that it's not mental gymnastics. It's developing a sense of thoughtfulness that includes compassion and awareness. I mean, there's no way we can say, there's no way we can be the anonymous person all the time that spoke to Shariputra and somebody just got it. I think most of the time it's kind of throwing the jello against the wall. So people ask, they say, what's your methodology with anything? And I just say, wear out the delusion. And so there has to be a lot of confidence when we say that, but I am confident that our primordial awareness is more lasting and powerful than our idiocy. So we do, when giving instruction of any kind, want to give encouragement and hope, right? You don't have to say, look at me, I'm doing so much better, and make it about ourselves, but we can say, like, I'm a lot better. So, like sometimes when I get a criticism, of course, it always hurts because I'm just super vulnerable and sensitive all the time. But I try to say or think, well, I was a lot worse, or you should have seen me then. I'm trying. It's okay to try. We're not Yoda. Yoda was wrong, of course, right? It's not just do it. It's just try. Totally. Good question.
Thank you.
Meta. I have a few more things to say, but maybe one more comment, or people can comment too. Please, someone say, like, this doesn't make any sense to me. This isn't working at all. I don't know, whatever you want to say.
This doesn't make any sense to me. It's not working.
Thank you, James. Because that's always like an important thing, so that's such a, when someone says this, this is not working, it's not making sense, I tried it, it doesn't work. When we're, trying to benefit others through meditation or therapeutically, that always can be quite an obstacle, right? So James, do you have a favorite way that you deal when someone says this isn't working, or I don't get it, or it made me worse even? I'm putting you on the spot. So.
Sure, no worries. I don't know if I have a favorite way because it seems to come in the moment to me how to approach that energy. Sometimes, depending on my relationship, it might be a reminder of what their goals are, or it may be much softer and just like, well, tell me about that experience. What is it like for you when it's not working? What is it that you are expecting it to be? And I found sometimes when people just start talking about what their expectations are, they start to see through that they're creating some sort of obscuration to the experience.
Right, right. Also, thank you. Yeah, so I think you'd probably agree that sometimes we just have no idea what to say in a given moment. And it's okay to say, like, I don't know what to say right now that would be helpful. I don't, I feel like I have to digest more of what you said, or something like that. You know, we don't have to have all the answers. That's really important. It's embarrassing sometimes, particularly if somebody says, well, you're not a very good Lama or therapist or person. You should be better by now. And comes back even kind of a second time, right? Even kind of attacking. But it can be really helpful to acknowledge defeat sometimes. So there's a Hasidic story, maybe Morris knows it better than I do, where in the yeshiva, I don't know where it would be, but they're debating back and forth. And one of the debates is everything was said in the Torah that has to be said about God. And then the other side, the other group debating said, no, there's been ongoing revelation like that. And the side that kind of won in that debate said, no, we don't need to hear anything else from God because everything's been said already. And then a voice from heaven, God said, I've been defeated by my own children. That's a very tantric story, right? So we sometimes can, you know, just say, boy, you've got me there. I have no idea what your experience is, and I'll have to get back to you, or maybe maybe you can illuminate that for me or someone else. What do you think, Colleen? Are you there? I'm calling on people today. I'm really being traditional.
What was the question, Lama?
So if somebody says, you know, this has been no help, you know, you don't get me at all. This is, in fact, it's made it worse. You know, what do you say? What do you say to people?
Well, one of my favorite quotes of yours is the best meditation is the one that you actually do, is one thing that I would bring up. The other is I would talk about the judgment involved in that statement. You know, I think James was totally right. Like, what is it that you're looking for that you're not getting? But also, like, well, if you're sitting and you're just judging yourself that the meditation isn't going the way that you want it to go, then it's not going to go the way that you want it to go.
Yes, good point. Yeah, that's logic, right? Actually. But we have to expect those kind of questions and not take them personally, don't you think? I mean, that's can come from a genuine place. You know, Andrew's saying something too. He's popping up. I do so. He's saying sometimes it's being with other people's confusion without trying to fix it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay. Andrew's very, very honest up front. You know, it's okay to say, why don't you think something like, I'm confused, you know?
Yeah.
Confused about, you know. So even the highest level teacher sometimes is is going to be stumped, right? So, and the best therapist needs consultation. So one of the other subjects, it's like, that's why, I want to form a group of meditation instructors where we can consult with each other and help each other, right? When we're teaching in America, it's different than Asia, and we have to have some therapeutic skills, some skills. We can't just tell people what to do. In Asia, it's very unpsychological. So the teacher will give you teachings, and you'll feel like, but don't you want to hear my story? And I found that it is important to hear someone's story too, but there can be so much faith, or just the way it's taught is that, just do this and come back and tell me how it was in 6 months. So, that's why this morning I've been emphasizing that we have to form some kind of gentle, trusting relationship with someone, and admit to our confusion and with others' pain. What do you think, Colleen? Like, is that how you do it?
I think when people feel heard, they're more likely to listen. So
I know, that's it.
Yeah. But also, we all just have stories that we need to share, and we need to feel seen and heard.
I like hearing stories personally, and one of the interesting stories, there are many from the Buddhist time where people came and felt helpless and hopeless. And this is my interest too in the 84 Mahasiddhas, because many of the Mahasiddhas weren't doing any practice and felt helpless and hopeless, stuck. But also, as you know, a number of the Mahasiddhas were already accomplished practitioners, right? Like Shantideva, or all these folks, monastics particularly, they were stuck. So when someone's stuck in their practice, they need to tell their story. Don't always need to do another technique. So when you're talking to somebody, if they're saying, I just keep trying to stop my thoughts, you can say, well, you can't really stop thoughts. Or actually, thoughts are just the expression of natural mind, right? We could say that from the Dzogchen point of view, but it might be more helpful to say, what's going on in your life right now that you don't want to experience? What are you trying to get away from, right? So, like that. Any comments or complaints or suggestions or questions? We'll probably end a little bit. My desire is that everyone that I'm talking to should be able to say what they're doing and share, some basic meditation and entry-level things. At Lions Roar to be, I'm kind of upping the bar to be recognized as a meditation instructor. I wanted people to have, a committed daily practice and certain things like that, and availability that not everybody will be, able to do or want to do right now. But everyone that's listening, that I know, is a good person and should be able to and can, share some liberation. Don't you think? I don't think anyone that I'm listening to is left out of that. It's high level when we can hear Dharma from anyone. So that's the person doesn't always have to be, it's more powerful if someone walks the talk and is enlightened or a great therapists are being, but actually some people that have historically not been really nice people actually can give some really nice teachings, right? That's what's interesting. Yeah.
Well, I was wondering if you have time for one more question.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I run up with, whether it's therapy or whether it's meditation instruction, but it really shows up in both areas when somebody is starting to confront the reality that they're constructing, and they're starting, instead of distracting themselves or relaxing, they're starting to see how they're generating their own challenges. And it's really painful for them in that initial part. And sometimes even, with those of us that have been doing it for years, we go through that part where it's painful when we sit sometimes too. And I've lost people in that phase for months where they just didn't want to meditate because it was painful. And even when I've tried to guide them into mindful self-compassion, like that was too much for them to take in because the shame and the guilt was intergenerational, all encompassing. They just saw themselves as bad people. And when actually taking the time to slow the mind down, they just got really absorbed into their badness. I was wondering if you had any maybe pith instruction or guidance for how to deal with or how to support that.
I should first say, like, that question is so big, I should say, like, I don't know. So I'm reminded of when I was doing a lot of Zen practice, and one of the teachers I studied with was the Korean master Sun Sunim, and he would just say, "Don't know mind." That's very Zen, we wouldn't say that necessarily in Vajrayana, but the same thing. If we're doing it correctly, even in shamatha, all the obstacles will come up. And that's the lie that is important. The lie that it'll just get better and better and better until we kind of slide into realization. We have to say the obstacles are a necessary part of the path, and they're hurdles rather than walls like that. So, but I think still, essential part of the path is uncovering, our secret shame. So it's huge. If we find that, then we're close. And to find that and to really heal it, of course, we need tons of support. So we always need more support than challenge. So as we're working with people, we should always make sure that at least 51% is supportive. You never want to challenge yourself more. So, but we know when someone has a blockage or they feel stuck that we're close generally. People aren't generally aware, and I've mentioned a lot though, that at the night of, or the day of the Buddha's awakening, he was assailed by all these strong emotions, right? He wasn't just sailing into enlightenment, and the last one was very subtle, was a doubt. He had this idea that he wasn't worthy. I think that's so profound, and it's neat that he talked about it. So he had to ask for confirmation, right? So he touched his hand to the earth. So we see the Buddha here touching, earth touching, right? And then the, Mother Earth said, "No, you're worthy," right? So we need generally another person to mirror that for us. And some of us didn't get that maybe as children and aren't getting that now, but we must have that. So it's a magical time when someone is in that tender place and you're there at the right time to give the validation or give the I know you and you're worthy kind of transmission, right? So that's really important in Dharma transmission is it's that kind of intimacy like that. So we work towards, we should tell that story to, you know, I'm telling it to you. If you don't, you should already know it. But even then, okay, so there's a big enlightenment realization, and then he's hanging out, and then the Buddha had more doubts, right? What were the doubts? Can anybody? Guys should know this. So, okay, so he had woke up to Buddha nature. Well, I'm awake and free, but then he still had some doubts. What was his doubts after that?
Will anybody be able to understand my teachings?
Yes, exactly. You know, he kind of went into post. I'm making this up, but it's called post-enlightenment depression. There's a term for it. So, because there's this feeling like this is important because you want yourself or whoever you're helping to go into post-enlightenment depression instead of post-enlightenment grandiosity. Seriously. So we can tell, looking at ourselves, looking at other people, looking at other teachers, they had an opening experience, and then they start thinking, you know, I'm here, I'm on a mission from God, you know, something. So it's actually a good thing to have that kind of little sadness after, right? You realize how difficult it is. So then, how did the Buddha overcome that? Connor is speaking to my left ear. What do you think? Well, he did that actually kind of before, just appreciating, kind of was saying he did walking meditation up and down around the Bodhi tree for 49 days, kind of an apocryphal number, but you know, but who was it that helped him break through?
The gods.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
You know, so Indra Chakra said, oh, you know, we'd love to hear what you have to say. You know, you're being kind of an idiot. Why don't you, you know, check it out? So the Buddha, they say with the Buddha's divine eye, one of his cities, you know, said, oh, well, actually the 5 ascetics that I was training with, they're, you know, they might get this. So that's very interesting. That's very interesting. So, you know, we need, you know, we need the gods and Buddhist bodhisattvas to intervene at that time. You know, so you can take that literally as outside beings or be more Jungian about it. I don't care, but something interesting has to happen that breaks through that kind of doubt about the ability to be of use. It's interesting. Generally, you know, we'd say if we're doing a lot of bodhi sattva practice, generating bodhicitta, then you know, we can't stand that others are suffering. Then that will be the momentum to carry us through the doubt. That's very Vajrayana Tibetan way of thinking. You know, you kind of like a long jump, like you're kind of backing up for a long run, because you know once you jump, if you don't have the momentum, you're screwed, right? So that's why there's so much preparation in our tradition, because there's a huge leap from the toxic shame to and doubt to then the thinking that we can actually help others. So that's that Dharma crevasse. Yeah. Okay, we should close up soon. Let one. So Sharon wins the longest person from afar. Gosh, I just want to be in New York. It looks fantastic. Yeah. Oh, Ma Hung, I want to come visit. So I'm inviting myself. Good for you. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. I'll see some people again at 1:30 to go into more detail. If you're not totally burned out, then we'll go from there. You know. So let's do closing dedication.
One second, I'll start presenting. Dedication. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all-powerful Chenresig, Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain until samsara ends. May the teachings of the Buddha flourish, and may the upholders of the teachings remain forever. May all migrators achieve happiness, and may they fulfill all their temporary and ultimate goals. Losang, magical display of the deep awareness of all the victorious ones, merciful giver of a stream of profound and vast instructions to the fortunate migrators. Please remain always unperishing, unchanging, unfading. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of objectless compassion. Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom. Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Maras. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the snowy land sages. Losang Dragpa, I make request at your holy feet. Should I also do the first? That's good.
Let me make a few announcements real quick. Peter Bohanowitz is willing to be leading meditation outside at 8 o'clock mornings, weekdays, and I think maybe 7:30 on the weekends. So I've asked him to do like 24-minute sittings with a break. So it's very nice out in the garden now. The grass is very green, and it's nice to sit outside. There are flowers in the flower garden, and we have a fairly new guest, a statue that are called Ever Weeping. Sada Pravarudita was a bodhisattva that was looking for the Vajraparamita sutras and teachings and had a longing for the Dharma. But, I also like the idea that this a bodhisattva that's just very sad, you know, because sometimes in Dharma we think, oh, you shouldn't be sad, you should always be happy. So we need to really understand that sadness doesn't mean depression or discouragement. It just means that we're flowing with that deep feeling. And then maybe when we come back to the Gompa, we can also have a new lighting for the Tara Shrine. I had a vision of a Tara Madonna, so we want to have that more lit up. And I think Dana said that she was willing to help sponsor that. Yeah, she's shaking. Hi, yeah, like that. So it's really important. There aren't enough images in Dharma celebrating children and mothers. So we're just doing it like that. Do you want to do that to avert the obstacles prayer. It's okay to end here. We're running a little bit out of time. Just do one short one.
I'll do the first paragraph.
Yeah, sure.
The verses that save Sakya from sickness, a prayer for pacifying the fear of disease. May all the diseases that disturb the minds of sentient beings and which result from karma and temporary conditions, such as the harms of spirits, illness, and the elements, never occur throughout this world, the realms of this world. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. La la la, la la. Ciao.
Thanks, Lama.
Thank you, Lama.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Morris.
Thank you.
Mike, call me. Mr. Hatfield, call me.
Thank you, Lama.
Yeah, thanks, Cynthia.
Thank you, Lama.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Lama.
Thank you.
Gradual. Yeah. Yeah, I think I think I need to take a little break, but signing that.